God, I love the intro so much to this show. It's one of my favorites because it's just so straight to the point, but it's just so ominous. It's just so ominous. Welcome back, everyone. We are breaking down the second episode of Black Mirror, and that is 15 million merits. Thank you for everyone who showed up to watch this live with me. Uh, it was a lot of fun. It's fun to talk to people in the moment who are who've never seen it and are slowly getting hooked on the show. It is it's so interesting. If you guys want to join, link to my Discord below. We watch an episode every single week, live together, and then we discuss it amongst ourselves and kind of hang out a little bit and toss ideas of what we think is going on. So this week's episode number 2, 15 million merits, is a very, very, very interesting one. Now, if you guys are new to this series, basically I'm going to break down the episode. There is going to be spoilers, so if you don't want to be spoiled, I understand if you click off, and then I'll kind of explain my point of view of the episode, what I think about it, if there's real life applications, does it scare me or not? Because some episodes of Black Mirror definitely scare me, and if I liked the episode as a whole. So, this episode starts a little bit different. We are in some sort of weird, unique living spaces. And the episode starts out with the main character played by Daniel Kaluuya, who I believe is the actor in Get Out. That's right. He was the actor in Get Out, and he's been in Nope, and he was in Black Panther. Phenomenal actor. Uh, he kind of wakes up in this weird room, and there's screens all in the room. It's a really small room. There's advertisements popping up. He brushes his teeth, and he looks like he's paying for the toothpaste with these little, like, on the screen there's like these little units, and he has like 15 or 16 million of them. And when he gets done with his morning routine, he walks out, and he goes in this elevator, and it's all very like dark, ominous. No one's talking with each other. Like, very just, I don't even know what word I want to use. Like, there's no emotion or anything. Everyone just seems miserable. And he walks into this room, and there's these Peloton style bikes, and there's people all in rows. And he hops on the bike and he starts riding it. And there's a screen in front of him which has like apps that he can open up, and then like there's other people in the room and they're watching like videos and stuff, and he just starts riding his bike. And what you come to find out is there are people who are riding these bikes producing electricity, and that is how they gain currency, is by riding on these bikes. And then they go on their break time, and there's vending machines, and they have to pay their little currency that they earn from riding these bikes to eat. And then when they're off work or whatever it is for the day, they go back to the room. And there's little, like, maybe 10 by 10 room. There's no shelves, there's nothing. And there's screens on every single wall. And then just randomly, like, an ad will pop up on the screen, and it's like one of them's for exotic videos, and he has to like pay to skip the ad. Or there's like a little game you can play, um and he goes through like 3 or 4 of his days, and it's very just ominous and bleak. There's like no happiness, and it's not really enjoyable to watch because it's very just, like, it kind of hits you if you've ever been in that place in your life where you're just on repeat mode. You're just doing the same shit every day, nothing new. It kind of gives you that vibe. As the time kind of progresses, you pick up on little things here and there that people who are out of shape and fat are made fun of in this society, and have to pick up all the garbage from the people who are riding these bikes, which is very weird. And there's a guy who rides bike right next to him who loves making fun of them. And then when he watches the apps or whatever, there's a program where they like throw food at fat people and make them like eat it and all this shit. It's really strange, but I mean, it's talking about the world. uh, One of the big things on one of the app programs is like this. God, what is it called? Like it's a there's a TV show that they keep showing called One Shot or something along those lines, where people can go on there and it's like an American Idol panel where there's these three judges and they can go on and perform, and if you win, it's like it unlocks this way better life. And they're talking about like a singer who just won recently and now she's like super famous and all that type of stuff. One of the real life applications that freaks me out about this is they all have these little avatars that, like, when they're not showing the person on the screen, these avatars are like watching the show, and that's like a representation of the person. Just like Snapchat has avatars, almost everything has avatars now. So I was like, interesting. This was in 2011, I think, when this episode came out, when avatars were not that big of a deal, and now they're everywhere. As the episode kind of progresses, there's little insights here and there, but this new girl shows up to replace a guy who can no longer ride the bikes, and she's very pretty looking, like a very pretty lady. And our main character actually goes to the restroom and hears her singing in the bathroom, and she's super duper talented. And you can tell he forms like a crush on her. You know, she's pretty, she can sing. So they start talking or whatever, and they kind of build this little baby friendship, like super short. And he says that you should go on that show and sing. And she's like, "Oh, all you did was hear me in the shower or hear me in the bathroom sing. Like, you don't even know if I'm that good." And he's all like, "It doesn't matter." And she's like, "Well, I can't even afford it," because that's the kicker to the whole thing, is you have to save up all of these merits for riding the bikes, and then you can buy a golden ticket to go perform on the show for a chance at bettering your life. And it's very interesting. And he basically said that he would pay for her ticket. And she's like, "No way, I can't do that. That's like 6 months of grinding and not even eating any food, really." And he's like, "It's cool. Like, I just need something to happen in my life. Like, I need something exciting to happen because nothing has happened." So he ends up buying her the ticket. They go to a different area that they haven't shown in the show at all. There's only been 3 areas: his room, the fucking where the bikes are at, and then the cafeteria. That's all they've shown. So this whole new room it's like a square room that's a little bit bigger, and there's a bunch of people waiting to get picked to go perform. So they're there for like maybe a couple minutes, and they get picked. Like, the lady gets picked to go perform, and she tells the guy, like, to come watch her on the stage or whatever. So they like work out a way so he can go back there with them. And it's really interesting. The director of the show is some lady, or like one of the people behind the scenes. They're like, "Hey, you need to drink this compliance drink." So she drinks it, and it like kills her nerves. She's not nervous anymore, and she pretty much does what she's told, to make it like a smoother episode, which I think is interesting, and I think that could be something that will exist one day. So she goes out on stage, and the 3 judges, it's like one lady and 2 dudes. One of the dudes kind of like this snotty, like, Simon Cowell type person. And then the third guy works in the exotic videos and is kind of like this smooth, like, smooth talking guy. So she starts singing, and she's really, really talented. Like, she puts on a hell of a performance. And she stopped singing, and the 2 guys pretty much said, like, that was good, whatever, but all I could think about is if your tits were out. Like, it's not verbatim, but it's pretty close to that. Like, just straight up, like, if your tits were out, it would have been better. And she's like, "What?" So they start telling her, like, "You're a good singer. Like, for sure, you're talented, but, like, you're way hotter than you are talented." And the one guy's all like, "I could totally see you being in these exotic videos." And she's all like, "What?" And like, she doesn't really know what to say. And she's kind of like, "Well, I don't think I want to do that." And then they pretty much pressure her into doing it by saying, like, oh, are you just gonna go back to like cycling for the rest of your life? Like you're never gonna make it as a singer, but you could see this limelight and be famous if you just want to do these exotic videos. So she finally like she like sits there and like is contemplating it, and then she finally says yes. And then the guy who bought her a ticket is like screaming like no, no, like don't do it. So he gets dragged off the and back into the back, and the scene kind of cuts, and then I don't remember exactly how what the progression is, but he's in his room at some point, and like he's now has no merits. Like he doesn't have any money. He's now poor again, and every like he's riding his bike, and then he has to go buy food, and the food pretty much wiped out all of his money just from cycling for that day. So he goes back into his room, and one of the ads pops up, and it's for the exotic videos, and it's her, and he like had like a big crush on her, like falling in love with her type thing, and it's just her like, you know, it doesn't show a whole lot, but it shows enough. Like she's sitting there looking all like I'm not gonna get into it, but like some guy's like shoving his thumb down her throat, like just very aggressive perversion type stuff, and he's just losing his mind, and he's trying to skip the ad because like he loved this girl, and he did this for her, and now he has to sit there and watch it, and he can't skip the ad. So he ends up bashing like the walls, and he's like smashing his head against the wall, and he smashes his head so hard against the wall it actually breaks, and a piece of glass like falls onto the ground, and he like looks at it, and he like puts it up to his throat, and then he doesn't do anything, and then he puts it under his bed, and he starts kind of like he comes up with this idea. So the next little bit is like a 90s like sports montage where he's just grinding out these merits, like riding his bike every single day, like just fucking pushing it. And he ends up getting the 15 million merits again. And through that little time period, you kind of see that he's going to go on that show and like either kill someone or himself. So he gets the ticket, goes backstage, and like there's a really creepy scene where he's just standing there and he's not moving, and all the people who are waiting for the show too are moving around him, and then he finally gets picked to go on. So he goes up in front of these three judges, and in the background is all like there's not a live audience, but it's all those avatars. So it's all the people who are watching this, millions of people watching him, and he starts dancing, and he's doing like kind of like some b-boy dancing, but also mixed with some other type of dancing. I'm not well versed in the terms. And then he pulls out this chunk of glass, this knife that he was holding, and he puts it up to his neck, and he just gives this fucking powerful monologue, like screaming about how it's all fucked up, how everything's fucked up, the world's fucked up, what you did was fucked up, like really, really powerful speech. And he's threatening to like kill himself and all this type of stuff. And then the Simon Cowell judge basically like starts applauding him, and he says this is the most real thing that's ever been on this show, because I think he thinks it's a bit, and he's like, we need real. And he offers him a spot on his station or whatever it is to do those talks like 2 or 3 times a week. And he's up on stage with this knife just fucking buried at his throat, and like has no idea that he like why he just got offered a job. Like he was threatening to like end it because he was so over this reality. And he's all like, what? And then like I think it cuts, and then it pans to the guy he used to ride the bike next to turning on his apps, and there he is performing in front of this, like on this app on this station. And he talks for a couple minutes, and then he shuts off, like the show ends or whatever, like the show in the show Inception shows. and you see him like turn the camera off, and he's in this now beautiful room that has no ads and all of these panels on the wall. I don't think they were windows, but there's panels, and it's all this beautiful scenery. And he has all this room in this bedroom now. Like, it's like actually a nice place. And then he goes and puts this glass in like a little display case or whatever. And then it ends. So you're kind of left to think like, and I think this has some real creepy applications, because that's what so many people, how they live their lives now. It's like this, like we go grind for money just to get this one shot at trying to do something. And like, I really don't think a future like that is too far fetched, because it means like it gives you a exact direction to get a chance to make it, versus now where who knows if you are or you aren't going to make it. It's all up to like your work ethic and everything else. But like in the show, it tells you exactly what you got to do to get to a shot to make it. And I really think a lot of people would love that lifestyle, because people are already living in this mundane, like every day is the same. I just go to work and yada, 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 but never really get a shot. But a situation like that, where if you do that for so long and you stay strict and budget right, you could pay to get a shot. You know, whatever your passion is, go perform music or dance or whatever it is. And to think too that there are jobs, like everyone does the same job, it looks like, because there's a scene where it pans out of just their little cubbyhole with their bikes, and there's hundreds of thousands of cubby holes. So you just assume everyone's biking, right? Which is crazy, just to produce electricity. I don't think a world like that is too far fetched to think of existing. Like, there is a point in time where energy and electricity might not be as readily available as we think. And if everyone had to just be forced to produce it, and that's where you got your money, and then the only things that you really have going for you is a chance at betting yourself through, you know, one of these TV shows or whatever it is. I think so many people would watch this episode and say, "Oh my god, this is disturbing and bleak," but then are unable to realize that we are in disturbing and bleak times for a lot of people. A lot of people live this type of lifestyle. They just have more freedom where they can go outside and do shit. But if there's ever a point where they can't, we're not that many steps away from that being a reality. You know, especially with the world heating up. I don't know. It gets a little scary to think about sometimes. It's so interesting too that like the only way for them to make it is it has to be through entertainment. They didn't show any other type of stuff of like, you know, there's no longer a need for handyman or, you know, anything but artists. And they just have to grind out the electricity, and that's how they make their money. It's very interesting. Very interesting episode. It's not the most exciting to watch, because a lot of it is just scenes of nothing happening, but it does have a lot of deeper thoughts to it in my eyes. Like I said, it's not the most exciting to watch, but man, is it entertaining. It makes you think. That's why I love this show so much. Every single episode will sit here and make you think about something, whether it's your future, your surroundings, you know, cool ideas, wild ideas, unrealistic ideas. It just makes you think, and it makes you want to talk about it. Anyways, with that being said, like I mentioned early on, if you want to come watch these episodes with me live and we can talk right after the episode, click the link in the description to my Discord. Come hang out. There's plenty of people. Everyone's friendly. And we will be doing the next episode, which is the entire history of you, next week sometime. I'll make sure I post the date the week of and hop in Discord and watch it. All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you have a great rest of your day. I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.